Let us look at this major breakthrough. Of course, success against Fulani militias. Of course, success against kidnappers. As I will allow you to watch a video where a kidnapper, particularly from Kaduna State, narrated how he made huge sum of money in collaboration with his colleagues. But unfortunately for him, he has been captured. I will allow you to watch the video shortly because we don't waste time. Each time we see any breakthrough against Fulani militias, against bandits, against terrorism, we don't waste time in bringing the update to you. But meanwhile, let me allow you see some major updates regarding success against crime and criminality in Nigeria. Shortly after this, I will allow you to watch that video. The first one you have to do with is say Nigerian troops have busted a gun-running syndicate in Taraba, arresting 2 suspects in Wukari, because as you can clearly see them having the gun in their possession. I think it's a welcome development. Let us equally bring you another one. This one comes from Ayekuto. Of course, that is the Twitter handle that posted it. He said, Abubakar Abba, a dreaded bandit terrorizing Kwara and Niger State, especially Kanji, Aziz, have been apprehended by the DSS. You can clearly see, of course, the man and his rifle. Let us equally bring you another update. Shortly after all of this, I will allow you to watch that video. This one is coming from, of course, the Nigerian police. I told you that it doesn't matter whoever the success is coming from, that anywhere the success comes from is a welcome development. This one specifically is coming from the Point newspaper, that the one that tweeted it. He said, police arrest notorious kidnap campaign, 5 others in Nasarawa. This one is Nasarawa. You can see that the success is going around. We are seeing it in Delta State, seeing it in Kwara, seeing in Taraba, Katsina, and all of that. But let us see yet another one, so that I will allow you to watch that video. This one is coming from a Twitter handle that goes with the name of the Sueye. He's saying soldiers kill 3 kidnappers who happen to be Fulani this morning in Ogwashi Uku, Delta State. You go further to see that these are the people terrorizing the community. So, having seen all of this, before I go further, let me allow you to watch that video that capture moment the Fulani bandits and of course who is involved in kidnapping for ransom was captured. Of course, just watch as we come back to further this conversation.
Menene sunanka?
Salisu Muhammad.
Salisu Muhammad. Shekarunka nawa?
Shekaru na 20.
Shekaranka 20. Kai a ina kake zama?
Ni ina zama a Kaduna ne.
A Kaduna a wanne gefe?
A bangaren Karji, Fidabu, wajen babban saura. Fidabu.
Wajen babban saura. Ta nan bayan Malali kenan.
Nan bayan babban saura.
An haura gada.
Akwai wani tsohon kamfani wanda aka kwaso kayayyakin shi aka kawo shi nan kamfanin nan wanda yake aiki nan Abuja. Tsohon kamfanin, cikin kamfanin muke zama idan muna nan.
Okay, ta nan babban saura. To, kana da mata?
Ina da mata.
Yara fa?
Ba mu da yara.
Ba ku da yara da su? Okay. To, menene sana'anka?
Kidnapping.
Kidnapping. A wanne daba ne kuke zama?
Daban boka ne muke zama.
Boka? Shi boka ya kuke da shi?
Shi sai dai nan muka zo muka same shi a cikin daban shi.
Ma'ana kai kana gaba da shi ne koko?
A'a, yana gaba da ni.
Shi ne mai gidanku?
Shi ne mai gidanmu.
Shi ne mai gidanku?
Shi ne mai gidanmu.
Shi boka? To a dabarsa ku nawa ne?
Gaskiya ni lokacin da na bari, kafin a kama ni wancan kamu, mu 100 ne a ciki.
Muke ku 100 ne?
To amma yanzu da na dawo, da na je na dawo, na koma cikin dajin, na je ban dade ba sai aka yi faɗan nan. Ban san adadin da yaran da suka zo suka tsaya wurin. Inda baƙi da sun zo wurin.
Okay. So bayan ka koma din ka je ka tare kuma sun fi su 100 kenan.
Sun fi 100, sun fi 100. Akwai wanda ma ban sani ba shi.
Akwai wanda ma baka sani ba. To akalla a wannan daba taku akwai bindigogi kamar guda nawa a gurin?
Kan da Allah a yanzu dai kan bindigogi da suke nan sun fi 100.
Sun fi 100.
Sun fi 100 wanda suke.
To bindigogin AK ne ko kuma banda AK akwai wani jirar daban?
Banda AK akwai mai mai standard bika
irin wanda ake
kan mota.
Okay, wanda ake dora akan mota. Wanda ake kira mai jigida kenan.
Mai jigida ita.
Akwai kamar guda nawa akan nan?
Akwai guda 5 a wurin wanda na sani.
Okay, guda 5. Su asalin GPNG kenan. Wanda ake dora kamar inda ka faɗa, wanda ake dora saman mota. Okay. To kamar ishu na kidnapping da ina ne kai a sanin ka kun taba zuwa?
Mun je nan bayan Kaduna, akwai unguwan da muka je, akwai Kadaure, akwai Kyauta, nan keke ma mun shiga, mun shiga kekiwan, mun shiga kekitu, na wajen Karji, bayan Karji wajajen Rufanari, duk mun shiga wuri, da wajajen Rufanari, da Sabon Gida, duk mun shiga wuri.
Okay. To, kamar za ka iya tunawa daga lokacin da kuka fara kidnapping, kai kamar wanne ne kuka fara a saninka? Ni
akwai lokacin da dai kafin in fara kidnapping, ni daga fara kidnapping dina shekara 3 ne.
Okay.
Amma kafin in fara, ana zuwa ta irin satan shanu ɗaiɗai haka, a can inda muka taso.
Okay. To, kamar a kidnapping da kuka yi na farko, za ka iya tuna nawa kuka ansa? To, ba mu bayani.
Farko lokacin da muka je, an ba wa miliyan 200.
Miliyan 200? Okay. So, a lokacin da kuka je, mutum nawa kuka kama?
Mutum 2 ne muka kama.
Mutum 2 ne?
Mata mace da yarinyanta da yaranta.
Okay, da yaranta su nawa?
Mijin ya gudu.
Okay. Da mace da yaranta mijin ya gudu. So su ne na kuka karbi
miliyan 200 a wurin su.
Miliyan 200. So a wannan da kuka yi na farkon kuka karbi miliyan 200, ku nawa ne kuka je?
Mu 5 ne muka je.
Ku 5 ne?
To da uban gidanmu.
To nagode. Sai na biyu, ko za ka iya tuna nawa kuka ansa wannan kuka kwasa? A na biyun kuma mutum nawa kuka kwasa?
Mun kwasa mutum 3.
Mutum 3. Nawa kuka karba a hannunsu?
An ba wa miliyan 50 a wurin su.
Miliyan 50 a gurinsu. So, a wannan na biyun da kuka je kun kai ku nawa?
Mu 3 ne muka je.
Ku 3 ne? To, kamar na farko, in na koma baya, a ina ne ko kwashi wannan mutum biyun?
Mutum 2 a nan wajen Kyauta ne muka kwashi.
A wajen Kyauta? Okay. Ina Kyauta take?
Kyauta tana daga kafin ka je Kyauta a wannan keke. Daga Millionaire City in Kauro.
Yes.
Sai Kyauta.
Okay. Na gane. To, shi kuma na biyun wanda kuka karɓi miliyan 50 a ina ne kuka kama su?
Shi kuma nan wajajen Sabon Gida muka kama shi.
Ok, wajajen Sabon Gida. Sabon Gida tana wanne bangare ke?
Tana yamma da Kujama ne.
Ok, tana yamma da Kujama? Good. To, sai na uku, mutum nawa kuka kwasa sannan kuma a ina ne aka yi?
Shi ma mun kama mutum 2 a nan jihar Mutuwan Saura. Mun zo mun kama mutum 2. Nan ma an ba miliyan 100.
Miliyan 100 daidai?
300.
Ok, miliyan 300. Mutum nawa ne ko kwasa?
Mutum 2 ne.
Mutum 2? To, a wannan lokacin ku nawa ne kuka zo?
Mu 7 ne muka zo.
Ku 7 ne? That is na 3 kenan. So na biyu a na 4 shi kuma a ina ne kuka yi kidnapping?
Na 4 shi kuma nan wajajen Kujama ne.
What happened with the video? I think it is very clear that the essence of rejigging the security architecture cannot be emphasized, and the essence of having the locals integrated into the security arrangement cannot as well be emphasized, because these are 2 major areas that will enable the citizen heave a sigh of relief and that can bring efficiency in the security management. I think I'm particularly happy because of the new dimension the whole thing is taking, because we continue seeing series of success against bandits, against Fulani militias, against crime and criminality, seeing arrests from other locals, from DSS, from the police, from the army. It's all encompassing. I must say it's a welcome development. And I think this has to do with a function of the zeal and the tenacity of the communities who have taken it upon themselves to be part of the security arrangement. And what is equally gladdening one's heart is the new approach of the government, where they are making it very clear. Not just making it very clear, action is already being taken in that regard to ensure that the communities are keen into the forest guard arrangement. Specifically, as the president himself made it very clear that the forest guard are being empowered to do the job. I think it's a major shift from what we had in the last administration. We understand that the last administration was very reluctant to allow security arrangement at the state level to be armed, because this argument of that it could lead to secession was always there. We could remember the former governor of Ondo State, Akeredolu, may so rest in peace, who was always at loggerhead with the Buhari's government, because it was understandable that there was no reason for disallowing Amateku to bear arm, sophisticated weapon sufficiently enough to combat bandits, Fulani militias. But unfortunately, under the last administration of Muhammadu Buhari, the government saw things differently, and Amateku could not bear arm then. But currently, we are seeing that the president is willing to address that area, because normally the Office of National Security Advisor gives an end-user certificate that empowers anyone to procure and deploy arms at that level. But I think it's good that we are seeing a shift. But again, you begin to question the rationale behind that last administration. Every of their agenda, every of their move was in a way trying to create a space for the Fulani. Because we saw the issue of Ruga that didn't fly. We saw the issue of cattle colony that didn't fly. We saw the issue of water resources bill that didn't fly. But one thing is certain, that there's already breach of trust. And the only way you can rekindle that trust is for the Fulani themselves, who have over the years done one or two things that make people to lose trust in them, should go back to start amending their ways. Because whether we like it or not, it is not all the Fulanis that are bad. That is the truth. Because Fulani did not come into Nigeria today. But the question is, how do you identify the bad one from the good one? How do you differentiate? Because even as the former president have acknowledged that most of these people who perpetrate this crime and criminality come from different parts of the world, different parts of African countries like Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, and all of that. But the question is, how do we as ordinary Nigerians who are not Fulani identify and differentiate between the bandits and the regular Fulani man? And even within those who wreck out, they are already becoming a menace to society. That is why I continue maintaining that ranching is the way to go. And the states going forward should start enacting anti-open grazing laws. I think that is the way to go. Hence, we are already seeing forest guard being put in place. The enforcement of open grazing laws that will be enacted by State House of Assembly will not be a difficult thing. If we already have forest guard in place, then they can easily synergize with other security agencies to ensure that the law is enforced. But the ultimate thing is that we want to see a society where crime and criminality is addressed. We want to see a society where if you take to crime, you'll be arrested and prosecuted to act as deterrent to others. We want to see a situation where the lives of Ada Aleru, the lives of Toji Bello are arrested and prosecuted to act as deterrent to others. We want to see a society where the life of our soldiers who are in the battlefield fighting to keep everybody safe is well addressed, is well protected. We want to see a society where the welfare of the soldiers is adequately captured. But currently, we understand that there are so many instances where the soldiers will be complaining that their welfare is not adequately addressed. I say this particularly because a video made the round recently where you can clearly see some soldiers who complain that they contribute money to buy foodstuff, even while in the battlefield, while in the theater of operation. And in that circumstance, it happened that about 9 of them contributed 60,000 each, and they were displaying the food item that was procured and supplied to them. And in this circumstance, I'm talking about 540,000 from 9 of them. And the food they displayed, the food stuff they displayed, is not in any way commensurate with the amount of money they contributed. 2 questions are here. Number 1, why would they supply them food that is below the standard of the money they contributed? Secondly, why would they be buying food with their money while they are fighting on behalf of everybody? I think the authorities should address this. I think the president should look into this. And I think the highest authority, highest echelon of the military should look into this, because this have a way of demoralizing the personnel who are, of course, in different theaters of operation. But one, if their feeding have not been adequately addressed and they have bills to pay back at home, they have their loved ones, their dependents, those who depend on them, if they are not able to pay the bills that accrues to them as a way of addressing their family needs, it have a way of affecting their psychological mentality. And if that happens, it can affect their overall output as a way of maybe making them not to be able to give it their best. That is why the authorities, as a matter of urgency and necessity, need to see to the welfare of the military personnel who are in different theaters of operation fighting these bandits and criminals. Another thing have to do with, of course, at some point, we need to reject the constitution to give the governors some level of security power to operate. Because the current situation where a governor will go by the name of the governor and the chief security officer of his state, and yet do not command any security power, I don't think it's a welcome development. I think going forward, they should be allowed to operate some level of security power so that they can dish out some level of order directive that can be complied with by the security agencies. That is why I particularly took note of the complaint of, or rather the lamentation of the Zamfara governor, who have made it very clear that in his own capacity as a governor, that he have been able to procure some equipments, of course, in technology angle of it, technologically, through which he can monitor the movement and location of bandits. But what is lacking is the ability to control the security architecture within his state to move them to action and into operation. He lamented about a situation where even after notifying the military personnel of a supposed movement of bandits, because he did not have the power to control them, and perhaps they didn't get there on time, the whole effort of locating and identifying their movement was defeated. So I must say that we need to rejig our constitution to give the governors some level of security power to operate, to enable them be able to address these challenges we are seeing. Because you cannot just be blaming the governor for not doing enough to address insecurity, whereas he don't have the power to control the security architecture in his state. I must say that the current control and command system of security architecture in Nigeria should be rejected. Talking about the command and control that trickles from Abuja to the grass level. Because all crime is local. And if all crime is local, it should be addressed from that point of view. You should allow, or rather we should allow the governors parade that some level of security power. I'm not saying we should jettison the current security arrangement, but if we have the same police in place, and the state governors are empowered by the constitution to dish out orders to them, to move them into operation, I think it will seamlessly address the security challenges we are seeing. Because the bureaucratic bottleneck that happens before the chain of command move from Abuja to the state, to the local government, would have been dealt with if we allow the state governors to operate some level of security power. But meanwhile, I must say very big thank you for that. This is Sadla Bidama and I'm Mr. Matu.